Hi, my name is Brian Caffo, and this is the Developing Data Products lecture on Plotly. So Plotly is a really nifty little web application and library for R that I had an old video on, but it was early in their R development, and I just went back and looked at it, and I was really astounded at how much development has occurred since then. And for creating interactive web graphics in R, Plotly is certainly something that you should look into. The nice part is it integrates with a lot of different languages too. So, what is Plotly? Plotly is a web application for creating and sharing visualizations. It can work with several languages. Off the top of my head, I know that it works with MATLAB, Python, JavaScript, and so on. And they also have a web interface if you like to point and click your way to victory, just uploading a CSV file or something like that. And you'll see, I think, in some of our first applications that we're going to do with code demonstrations that, Plotly is really easy to get up and going, especially if you work in RStudio and in R now. So installing Plotly, I'm not going to do code demonstrations on this. This should be familiar for you at this point in the class. Install.packages Plotly, and then of course to bring it up you can do library or require Plotly or something like that. Later on, as the last part of this lecture series, I'll talk about sharing your Plotly plots, which isn't specifically an R thing. It's more of a how do you share HTML graphics discussion. And one of the ways is actually on the Plotly site, and they have free options and paid options if you want private, private displays and user authentication and things like that. So if you want to share your visualizations through Plotly, then of course you can do that. But in addition, they just make HTML graphics that you can create a web page and share on your own without involving Plotly at all, other than the Plotly R package. Okay, but also, their web interface is pretty interesting. It gives you a lot of nifty tools that even are not that easy to do in R, like, for example, interactively changing axis labels, right? So that's something that you can't really do in R. You have to rerun the code and that sort of thing. In any rate, at the Plotly web interface, you can do things like that. So we'll show that at the end. But for right now, we're just going to work in the R console and just show Plotly when running things locally. Okay, so before I do the code demonstration, let me go through the slides a little bit. Here, the slides just go through creating the command or invoking the command plot_ly, the empty cars data set, and just specify the X and the Y. And then one thing I just want to show before we go through the code demonstration is this is actually embedded into this knitter document here. Okay, so the R Markdown document that got then knit into an HTML document, it is actually displaying the interactive graphic as part of the actual document in the actual slide. So you can where's zoom in? You can zoom in, for example, and things like that you can't normally do with a static graph, and this is all embedded in the slides. So when you look at the R Markdown document, the commands are very simple to just do that. So one interesting application of Plotly is embedding it in your Slideify or RStudio Presenter or Slidey, just knitter documents. Okay, so let's do some code demonstrations where we go through a couple of different Plotly type plots, and then at the end we'll talk about how we share them.